We've all heard the saying, stay in school, by our teachers, family, and friends, but what were we to think when all of a sudden grade 13 was removed and we were left with high school dropout rates and broken lives? The absence of grade 13 has done nothing but harm, and if we want to turn the situation around, we need to bring it back. In 2003, the Harris government decided to remove the Ontario Academic Credit, also known as grade 13, which resulted in the double cohort year and various negative outcomes. The double cohort year of 2002 and 2003 meant that both grade 12s and grade 13s of that year were to graduate and move on to post-secondary education together. Because of this, the high school dropout rate dramatically increased to over 40% in 2005 in comparison to 22% in 1999. According to NUPGE News, approximately 49,000 students quit high school in that double cohort year without graduation and 14,000 the following year. It is recorded that in 1999, 1 in 5 students dropped out, evolving into 1 in 3 in 2005. According to Statistics Canada, we have been slowly recovering from this and that unemployment rates are dropping. However, there is still data showing only negative signs with the deletion of grade 13. The removal of grade 13 has created a simpler curriculum, but at what cost? To gain knowledge upon whether or not this is still continuing to affect our current education system, we have conducted an interview with Ms. Prasad, a current grade 12 business management and law teacher at York Mills Collegiate Institute, alongside Ms. Maxwell Steele, who is the interdisciplinary studies and drama teacher. As a teacher, do you feel that grade 12s are prepared for university?
Personally, I think that they could use an extra year to mature, even use that year to go abroad, try something different, get some work experience. I honestly feel that grade 13, or what used to be grade 13, could be used as a co-op year.
I don't think there's as much independent work. I don't think that the students are that independent. There's a lot more tolerance. You're allowed to hand things in late, which would never be allowed at university.
If you could bring back grade 13, would you, and what would you do with it?
There would be a lot more hands-on.
Bring back grade 13, but in a different format, not as a class year, not a studying year, perhaps as a co-op year or a travel abroad year.
What is your opinion concerning the double cohort year?
Pretty tough for the kids that went through that double cohort year. I know that my cousin graduated in that cohort year from high school, and she went to McMaster. She had 5 people in a room that was designed for 3, so it really wasn't the best of situations for her. Her experience was marred simply because of them pushing everyone together. The double cohort, it just created a glut of graduates all fighting for the same application forms for graduate school and so on and so forth. And it just seemed like it was unfair for 2 sets of people to be fighting for the same set of spots.
Keeping this in mind, we interviewed Ms. Benson, who is a current teacher at York Mills Collegiate Institute and a graduate from the 2002-2003 year. What is the preparatory level of grade 12 now compared to grade 13?
I was one of the last years that had grade 13, so I can see a big difference between grade 13 and grade 12. Grade 12 is definitely more difficult than it was when I took grade 12 because it has to compensate for the grade 13. I do think that it's pretty comparable to the grade 13, however I do think 13 is slightly harder than grade 12.
As someone who took grade 13 and a teacher, do you feel that grade 12s are ready?
As a person who took grade 13, I knew that I was really ready to go to university at that time. Now when I see the students, they're so much younger, I feel like they're not mentally and emotionally ready.
In your opinion, what are the benefits of bringing back grade 13?
To take more variety of courses. They're not as pressured to take the ones that they need right away. They can take courses that they don't necessarily want to go into but have interest in. So it gives them more of a broader perspective and understanding of other courses. So they're not just required to take the ones they need for university. They can actually take some courses that they truly want to take just for fun.
We then had the opportunity to interview Mr. Villani, who had the opportunity to teach grade 13. Do you feel that grade 12s are ready for university? Why or why not?
From my point of view, not really. I think you still need an extra year. See what happened when they had grade 13, there was more maturity level. They were, I should say, more responsible.
What is your opinion concerning the double cohort year?
I think there were too many students getting into university and university was not prepared for it.
Explain the major differences between a grade 12 chemistry class versus a grade 13 chemistry class.
On-hand activities. That means there were more experiments done at grade 13 level than at grade. Because of the change in the curriculum, there is more theory now, more content than the practice. hands-on experience. In grade 13, we had more hands-on.
What changes did you notice when it comes to the chemistry curriculum?
There's a change in the curriculum. It's become little more too much knowledge part in grade 12. There is more content there. And in grade 13, there was not as much content, but there was more hands-on, more experimental. So that was, I think, in my opinion, that was the major difference.
Now that we have an understanding of what the teachers think, let's look at what today's students think about grade 13. If you could bring back grade 13, what would you like to see done curriculum-wise?
Yes, I would make grade 12 less stressful and like even it out because there's a big jump from 11 to 12.
I would make it more about like habits instead of like random like curriculum stuff. I'd make it more about like learning like good study habits and things that you can like do like your whole life that will actually be useful to you, as opposed to random facts that you're going to regurgitate on a test and forget the next day.
Finally, we examined our current principal's opinion concerning grade 13. Describe the characteristics of a grade 13 student.
There's no doubt that students who completed grade 13 were more mature, were, I think, a little bit more prepared to tackle the rigors of university or any post-secondary education.
Are the current grade 12s prepared for university just as much as the grade 13s?
Maturity level of students today is a little bit more immature than students were, say, 15, 20 years ago. The pressures are much different. The society is much different than it was 10, 15 years ago. Certainly, we see the difference in technology. We see the difference and all around us that students then didn't have to deal with. So that gave them a little bit more time, I think, to concentrate on their studies and to try to get into the programs that they wanted. But I think, based on maturity alone, I would have to say that kids at with grade 13 might have been a little bit more prepared.
If you could bring back grade 13, would you, and what would you do with it?
I would use that year as a pre-university, as a university prep year. I think I would do that. I know that students have an opportunity to come back for a victory lap, as you know, in grade 12. Some students do take advantage of that. Approximately 100 students a year take advantage of that. And I have to tell you, when we see kids come back for that victory lap, it's like getting a different kid after the summer. Really, the maturity level is exponentially higher, you know.
Because of the double cohort year, explain how this impacted the universities.
It was too mixed up. There were too many professors hired that weren't prepared to teach. There were a lot of TAs who were made instructors, not professors. And they really weren't prepared to deal with those two levels of maturity in a university class that had 500-600 kids in it. So you can just imagine what kind of instruction could you possibly get unless you were prepared to get that kind of instruction. So there was a lot of paper throwing around in university classes. There was a lot of kids, whining to their professors. They never experienced that before. There were a lot of parents getting involved in their kids' lives at the university level. So professors didn't want to teach first-year university anymore. And so you got the lesser skilled TAs and professors to teach first-year university, which may not have been the best thing to do.
In conclusion, the benefits of bringing back grade 13 outweigh the negatives of reintegrating back in another grade. People who have gone through grade 13 either by teaching it or attending it themselves vouch for bringing it back. However, our current generation may feel differently. Yet simply bringing back grade 13 as it was wouldn't help either. The Ontario government would have to be willing to invest in restructuring our current curriculum alongside incorporating more hands-on opportunities such as traveling abroad or co-op, or even just offering helpful courses to give us an opportunity to gain lifelong skills. If this were to happen, our current dropout rates are almost guaranteed to decrease drastically. So as the saying goes, stay in school, or maybe just take another year. Your options are endless, but your life is not.